Good morning, birders. Thanks for joining me on the coldest day of 2026 to this point. Currently, the temperature is minus 14 degrees Fahrenheit, and yes, that is the actual temperature. The real feel is more like minus 38 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It is brutally cold out here. However, I have outfitted myself with the appropriate gear to stay warm in this weather. And despite the freezing cold, I actually kind of like birding in conditions like this. For one thing, nobody else is out in this weather, so it's very peaceful. And for another thing, I simply like to showcase how tough and determined birds are. Of course, birds still have to eat and provide for their other daily needs in this type of weather, so it's fun to go out and see how birds can meet the challenge. Stick with me and let's see what birds we can find on this day of birding below zero. I eased myself into birding in these frigid temperatures by parking adjacent to one of the two bird feeding stations at George Wythe State Park. Unsurprisingly, the feeders were bustling with activity as birds fueled up on tasty seeds to provide them with the energy they needed to stay warm. Two lovely lady woodpeckers, a red-bellied woodpecker on the left and a downy woodpecker on the right, were tag-teaming a suet block before the downy abandoned the feeder and left the red-bellied woodpecker to enjoy the bounty. Does anyone else ever stop and think that female red-bellied woodpeckers look like balding, middle-aged men because of where the red color stops on the back of their heads? I've thought this for years, and I can never unsee it. An especially adaptable hairy woodpecker was putting the other woodpeckers to shame with its ingenuity as it dangled from a bird feeder meant for finches while extracting the tasty finch food with impressive precision using its long bill. Here are some videos I took a week ago of what I can only assume is the same brilliant male hairy woodpecker. Even when other bird feeders are open for him, he chooses to feed at the finch feeder, much to the dismay of nearby goldfinches. The clever woodpecker didn't allow any food to go to waste, devouring seeds that had spilled onto its belly before returning his attention to the bird feeder. Eventually, the goldfinches did get a chance to feed at their favorite bird feeder. These two tiny birds only dared to eat for a second or two before looking around for danger. Hairy woodpeckers are the least of these bite-sized birds' worries. While there were plenty of birds enjoying the bird feeders, mourning doves feel most comfortable feeding on the ground, so this bird was content to forage for seeds that birds feeding at the bird feeders above tossed aside. Fortunately, this dove didn't seem to be very picky. It looked like a hungry hippo as it seemed to indiscriminately gobble up any seed in its path. After collecting these seeds and filling its crop, this mourning dove will fly off and perch somewhere safe to digest its meal. An unruly group of European starlings descended on the bird feeding station and began raiding several bird feeders. Starlings are always so intimidating to other birds when they arrive at bird feeders, but then they start attempting to eat and they always look so awkward. I watch them rapidly pecking at the bird feeders, but it never seems like they actually get any seeds in their bills. In a nearby forest, a puffy male white-breasted nuthatch scooted up a tree trunk. He did his best to keep his feet warm by covering them with his feathers as he navigated around the trunk of this oak tree. Eventually, he settled into a spot along the tree where he decided to park for at least a minute. I rarely see nuthatches sit still like this unless they're trying to avoid being detected by a predator. In this case, there was no threat in sight, and no bird nearby had given any threat calls. Maybe this fella was simply trying to warm up, but I definitely appreciated the excellent looks he provided. I then came upon a handful of dark-eyed juncos that were foraging in a parking lot. Despite being well-known snowbirds, these tough little guys didn't appear to be enjoying this cold weather. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen juncos look this clumsy before. I could see that they were trying to keep their feet warm by covering them with their feathers whenever possible. But this just made it look like they were flopping around as they foraged. Awkward as they may have looked on a day as cold as this, juncos must spend a substantial portion of their days foraging so they can maintain enough energy to keep themselves warm. In the nearby river, I observed hundreds of Canada geese on the opposite riverbank. When the weather was as cold as it is today, I often see Canada geese tucking their heads into their wing feathers and loafing near the water to conserve their energy. Although most of these birds were resting, there were a few brave individuals who were taking a dip in the frigid waters of the river. What would be a death sentence for humans is simply a morning bath for Canada geese, thanks to their feathers' impressive ability to insulate them and keep water from coming into contact with their skin. Okay, now I'm going to head over to the other bird feeding station at George Wythe State Park. I've seen a few vehicles out and about driving around the park today, but so far no one else has been out walking around in these frigid temperatures. Luckily, I've been able to observe plenty of birds, and I expect that this next feeding station will have a lot of feathered visitors hoping for an easy meal. I was, indeed, greeted by a nice array of birds when I arrived at the second feeding station. I noticed several species jockeying for position on a coveted bird feeder. Several black-capped chickadees fought among themselves for the best position at the feeder, but then a white-breasted nuthatch moved in and chased one of the chickadees away before flying off with a seed. White-breasted nuthatches may be able to bully small songbirds like chickadees, but when push came to shove, this nuthatch was no match for the gluttonous male northern cardinal who never seemed to leave this bird feeder. Under the bird feeders were a few white-throated sparrows, birds that were uncommon around here during winter when I was growing up, but now they seem to be increasingly common each winter. I'm sure this bird wishes it had spent the winter further south on this freezing day. One adaptation that birds have to contending with this brutally cold weather is puffing up their feathers. This helps them to retain body heat and stay as warm as they possibly can when the temperatures are this frigid. So when I go birding on freezing cold days like this, it's kind of fun to see all the birds puffed up in their little circular feathered states. I spotted a dazzling rose-colored bird in a tree overlooking the bird feeders and was delighted to see a male purple finch scoping out the scene. Despite visiting this state park over 200 times, I've only observed purple finches at these feeders on maybe 1 or 2 instances. And this male wasn't alone. 3 other purple finches showed up to enjoy the bounty of these bird feeders as well. All of these other purple finches were either females or immature birds. It's impossible to differentiate immature purple finches from adult females in the field. Male purple finches don't attain those brilliantly colored feathers until the end of their second summer. Luckily for purple finches, they can live to be more than 10 years old, so males could have numerous years of wearing those beautiful rosy feathers if everything works out for them. There's still plenty to love about the plumage of female and immature purple finches. I admire the intricate streaking and patterns that can be found throughout their feathers. One of the purple finches offered me a rare view of its back, revealing a warm brown rump patch that contrasted with the cooler toned feathers on its back. After enjoying some scrumptious seeds at the bird feeders, one of the purple finches returned to perch in a nearby tree and proceeded to wipe its bill on a branch. The bird initially had some food remaining on the tip of its bill, but it was able to wipe its bill clean using the branch. This behavior isn't uncommon in songbirds. Those of you who routinely feed birds may have witnessed this behavior in the past. As I've said, I really don't mind birding in the cold too much, but my camera here on the other hand, man, the batteries in my camera in this type of weather, they are absolutely pathetic. I'll be filming and I will have a completely fully charged battery, and without fail, within about 5 minutes, my camera battery is dead and I have to put it into my pocket or some other warm place, try to warm it up before I can then start using it again. So without a doubt, having my camera batteries die on me in this freezing weather is the worst part of birding below zero. A couple of male woodpeckers also provided good looks at these feeders. First was this northern flicker who clung to the base of one of the bird feeders. He seemed perplexed about how to actually access the delicious morsels of bird food, and he eventually just decided to feed on the ground where he's more comfortable. Then I got to see a male red-bellied woodpecker gobble up a few morsels of cracked corn. Unlike the female I observed earlier, the red color on this male covers the entire top of his head. Eventually, he took a piece of cracked corn to go and fled the scene. Northern cardinals were numerous and conspicuous at these bird feeders. I bet at least 7 or 8 had congregated here. As you saw earlier, they don't always play nice with each other. Fortunately, there was plenty of food to go around for these marvelous birds. Male cardinals are renowned for their gorgeous feathers, and this admiration is certainly deserved. I mean, look at these guys, they are stunning. However, it's important to give the lady cardinals their flowers as well. They have a subtle beauty with their red-orange bills and red-tipped crests that many people are quick to overlook. After spending an extensive time filming birds at these bird feeders, I trekked to the nearby cedar grove to check on one final bird to see how it was coping with the cold. As expected, this northern saw-whet owl seemed to be handling the cold without any issues. This sweet bird was all puffed up and sleeping very soundly in its favorite cedar tree. I only spent a few moments with this northern saw-whet owl, not wanting to disturb it too much on this freezing cold day in which it needed to conserve all of its energy. That's going to be a wrap for this worldwide birder adventure. But before I go, I would love to know, what is the coldest temperature that you've ever been birding in? Leave a comment below and let me know. And if you enjoyed this content, then be sure to check out some of my other below zero birding adventures. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will catch you all on my next worldwide birder journey.